Have you ever found yourself inexplicably drawn to someone, a magnetic pull that defies logic, only to discover they are precisely the kind of person who will shatter your peace, unravel your carefully constructed life, and leave you adrift in a sea of regret? It's a dance as old as time, a recurring motif in the symphony of human connection, this baffling phenomenon of falling for the wrong people. We see it in the hushed confessions of friends, in the tear-stained pages of diaries, in the endless cycle of romantic comedies that, beneath their glossy veneer, often highlight this very struggle. But what if this isn't mere coincidence or a simple failing of judgment? What if there's a deeper, more intricate mechanism at play, a hidden current pulling us towards those who, on the surface, seem utterly unsuitable, yet resonate with a frequency deep within our own shadowed interiors? We're not talking about the occasional misstep, the fleeting infatuation that fades with the morning light. We're delving into the persistent patterns, the recurring archetypes that manifest in our lives, whispering promises of fulfillment that inevitably turn to ash. It's the allure of the unavailable, the siren song of the emotionally distant, the captivating danger of the narcissist, the comfort found in the familiar pain of the codependent dynamic. These are not random encounters. They are often invitations, however unwelcome, to explore the uncharted territories of our own psyches, to confront the parts of ourselves we've kept hidden, even from our own conscious awareness. The universe, in its often cryptic and unsettling way, seems to present us with reflections, distorted mirrors held up to our own inner landscapes. And sometimes, the most potent reflections come from the individuals who challenge us the most, who push our boundaries, and who, paradoxically, hold the keys to our own profoundest transformations. But how do we begin to decipher this intricate language of attraction, this dark dialect spoken by the soul? What hidden forces orchestrate these seemingly fated encounters? It's a question that has haunted poets, philosophers, and lovers for millennia, a riddle woven into the very fabric of our existence. We've all felt that flicker, that spark that ignites something primal, something ancient, drawing us into a vortex of emotion and desire. Yet, when that spark leads us down a path of destruction, leaving us wondering how we could have been so blind, so utterly captivated by the very forces that would ultimately undo us, the question becomes not if we've experienced it, but why. Why are we, so often, drawn to the very individuals who represent our deepest fears, our unresolved traumas, our most potent shadow aspects? This is the precipice we stand upon, the threshold of a profound exploration into the shadowed side of attraction, where the veil between conscious desire and unconscious compulsion is thin, and the whispers of destiny can be heard in the rustle of fallen leaves. We're about to embark on a journey into the heart of this mystery, to uncover the hidden currents that guide our romantic choices, and to understand that sometimes the most dangerous attractions are the ones that promise to reveal us to ourselves. Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about love, desire, and the intricate dance of the human heart. We are, each of us, a universe unto ourselves, a swirling cosmos of light and shadow, of conscious desires and unconscious compulsions. Within this inner cosmos, the concept of the shadow, as explored by Carl Jung, plays a pivotal role in shaping our attractions. The shadow isn't merely the dark side of our personality. It's the repository of all that we deem unacceptable, the aspects of ourselves that we have repressed, denied, or exiled due to societal conditioning, personal trauma, or fear. These disowned parts of ourselves, however, don't simply vanish. They linger in the unconscious, seeking integration, seeking expression. And often, they find it through projection. We project these hidden aspects onto others, and in a bizarre twist of psychological alchemy, we find ourselves irresistibly drawn to individuals who embody these very shadow qualities. Think about it. If you've suppressed your own assertiveness, you might be drawn to someone who is fiercely dominant, even to the point of aggression. If you've buried your capacity for rebellion, you might fall for the charming, charismatic rogue who lives on the fringes of society. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an unconscious imperative, a silent call from the disowned self to reclaim its lost territory. Our attachment styles, formed in the crucible of early childhood experiences, also cast long shadows over our romantic lives. Whether we developed an anxious, avoidant, or secure attachment pattern, these ingrained relational blueprints significantly influence who we seek out and how we behave in relationships. For instance, an individual with an anxious attachment style might be drawn to someone who is emotionally unavailable, as this dynamic mirrors the inconsistency they may have experienced in their formative years, triggering a familiar, albeit painful pattern of seeking validation. Conversely, someone with an avoidant attachment style might find themselves attracted to partners who are overly dependent, as this allows them to maintain their emotional distance and avoid the intimacy that feels threatening. These patterns are not necessarily a conscious decision. They are deeply etched into our psyche, operating beneath the surface, guiding our choices in ways we often fail to recognize. Furthermore, archetypes, those universal patterns of behavior and imagery that reside in the collective unconscious, can also influence our attractions. We might be drawn to the hero who promises to rescue us, the nurturer who offers unconditional care, or even the trickster who promises excitement and disruption. These archetypal projections can create a powerful, almost fated, sense of connection, masking the underlying psychological needs and shadow aspects that are truly at play. It's as if our unconscious mind is orchestrating a grand, cosmic play, casting roles for us and our potential partners based on the unresolved dramas of our past. We are, in essence, drawn to what is familiar, even if that familiarity is rooted in pain. This is the intricate dance of the unconscious, a complex interplay of repressed desires, early imprints, and universal archetypal energies, all converging to shape the magnetic field of our attractions. It's a powerful, often invisible force that dictates why we gravitate towards certain individuals, even when every fiber of our rational mind screams caution. But what if the individuals we're drawn to, the ones who ignite that potent, often destructive attraction, are also navigating their own inner landscapes of shadow and unresolved patterns? It's easy to cast the wrong person as the villain in our personal narratives, the architect of our romantic woes. Yet, the truth, as it often does, lies in a more nuanced and compassionate perspective. Everyone carries their own bag of unacknowledged fears, their own carefully guarded wounds, their own shadow selves lurking just beneath the surface. The person who appears overly confident and dismissive might be desperately masking a deep-seated insecurity, a fear of inadequacy, that they've learned to armor with arrogance. The individual who seems emotionally volatile and prone to dramatic outbursts might be grappling with unprocessed trauma, their reactions a desperate cry for help from a place of deep pain. The person who consistently disappoints, who appears unreliable and detached, might be operating from a place of profound fear of intimacy, a learned helplessness born from past betrayals. When we project our own shadow aspects onto another, we are, in a sense, looking for a reflection, but we are also, unconsciously, seeking someone who can either confirm our disowned parts or, paradoxically, offer us a chance to integrate them. It's a complex, often unconscious dance. We are drawn to the intensity they embody because it mirrors the intensity we've suppressed within ourselves. We are captivated by their chaos because it resonates with a hidden chaos we've tried to control within our own lives. This doesn't excuse harmful behavior, not in the slightest. Understanding the potential roots of another person's actions is not about justification. It's about expanding our own capacity for empathy and for seeing the intricate web of causality that binds us all. It's about recognizing that the wrong person is often just as lost, just as wounded, just as unconsciously driven as we might be. They are, in their own way, also performing a role dictated by their own inner dramas, their own shadow negotiations, their own archetypal compulsions. When we can begin to see the humanity, the vulnerability, the shared woundedness, even in those who cause us pain, we begin to shift the very nature of our attraction. We start to see that perhaps our attraction isn't to the wrongness itself, but to the distorted echo of our own unintegrated selves, reflected back at us in the eyes of another. This perspective invites a profound shift, from blame to understanding, from victimhood to agency, and from judgment to a more expansive, albeit challenging form of compassion. It's a recognition that we are all, in our own ways, stumbling through the darkness, seeking light, and often finding it in the most unexpected and sometimes painful of encounters. The most profound transformations in our relationships, and indeed in ourselves, often begin with the courageous act of speaking our truth, of weaving vulnerability into the fabric of our connections. When we find ourselves repeatedly drawn to individuals who disrupt our peace, who trigger our deepest insecurities, or who ultimately leave us feeling hollowed out, it's a potent signal that the current pathways of communication are no longer serving us. The allure of the wrong person often stems from a place of unspoken needs, unexpressed desires, and boundaries that have become porous, allowing the very energies that drain us to seep in. The key to shifting these patterns, to creating a magnetic field that draws in healthier, more fulfilling connections, lies in cultivating a space of emotional safety, both within ourselves and with our partners. This safety isn't about the absence of conflict or disagreement. It's about the presence of trust, respect, and the freedom to be authentic without fear of rejection or reprisal. How do we begin to build this sanctuary of connection? It starts with introspection, with understanding the silent language of our own emotions. When a particular attraction takes hold, or when a familiar pattern of disappointment emerges, it's crucial to pause, to breathe, and to ask ourselves, what am I truly feeling beneath the surface? Am I feeling a longing for validation, a fear of abandonment, a desire for excitement that masks a deeper dissatisfaction? This self-awareness is the bedrock upon which all healthy communication is built. Then comes the delicate art of expressing these inner truths to the other person. This isn't about accusation or blame, but about sharing our experience from our own perspective, using I statements that convey our feelings and needs without imposing them on the other. For example, instead of saying, "You always make me feel ignored," a more effective approach might be, "When I don't hear from you for a few days, I start to feel anxious and disconnected." This invites dialogue rather than defense. Equally important is the establishment and maintenance of clear, healthy boundaries. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep people out. They are guidelines that define how we wish to be treated, protecting our energy and our emotional well-being. They are an act of self-respect, a declaration that our needs matter. Communicating these boundaries, kindly yet firmly, creates the necessary structure for a balanced and respectful connection. It's about saying yes to what nourishes us and no to what depletes us. This conscious communication, this willingness to be seen in our vulnerability and to honor our own needs, is the alchemical process that can transform magnetic pull towards the wrong people into a powerful draw towards genuine reciprocal connection. It's about moving from unconscious reaction to conscious creation, shaping our relationships with intention and integrity. True connection, the kind that nourishes the soul and fosters growth, is not found in the electrifying spark of predictable chaos, nor in the comfort of familiar yet unfulfilling patterns. Conscious love is a deliberate, courageous choice to show up authentically, to embrace vulnerability, and to engage with another human being not as a projection of our own unintegrated selves, but as a unique soul with their own journey, their own light, and their own shadows. It's a love that doesn't seek to complete us but rather to complement us, to walk alongside us, hand in hand, as we both navigate the complexities of life. This form of love is built on a foundation of mutual respect, where each person's autonomy and individuality are honored, not threatened. It thrives in an environment of open, honest communication, where difficult conversations are approached not with fear, but with a shared commitment to understanding and growth. It's a love that sees the other person's shadow, their imperfections, their struggles, and chooses to love them not in spite of these aspects, but with a deep, compassionate acceptance of their wholeness. This is not to say that conscious love is without its challenges. It requires constant tending, like a precious garden, with consistent effort, open communication, and a willingness to adapt and evolve together. It means actively choosing to nurture the connection, to invest in shared experiences, and to celebrate each other's successes. It's about recognizing that the most profound intimacy is not found in the absence of conflict, but in the ability to navigate disagreements with grace and a commitment to finding common ground. Conscious love is also an act of courage. It means daring to be truly seen, to reveal our innermost selves, our fears, our dreams, our vulnerabilities, and trusting that we will be met with acceptance and care. It's about letting go of the need to control the narrative, to manipulate outcomes, or to force a connection into a preconceived mold. Instead, it's about allowing the relationship to unfold organically, guided by mutual respect, authentic expression, and a shared intention for well-being. This is the essence of conscious love, a dynamic, evolving partnership that honors the individual journey while celebrating the beauty of shared experience. A love that doesn't shy away from the depths, but embraces them as opportunities for deeper understanding and connection. It's a love that liberates rather than binds, that empowers rather than diminishes, and that ultimately leads us closer to our own most authentic selves. The journey through the shadowed valleys of attraction, the magnetic pull towards those who mirror our deepest unacknowledged truths, is not a path to despair, but a profound invitation to self-discovery. The individuals who evoke the strongest, most complex reactions within us are often the very catalysts for our greatest growth, the keys that unlock hidden chambers within our own psyches. When we recognize the patterns, when we understand the unconscious forces at play, we are no longer passive participants in the grand, often chaotic theater of relationships. We become conscious creators, architects of our own emotional destinies. The allure of the wrong people is not a sign of inherent flaw or bad luck. It is a whisper from the soul, a breadcrumb trail leading us back to ourselves, to the parts of us that are waiting to be seen, to be integrated, to be loved. By embracing this understanding, by choosing to communicate our truths, to honor our boundaries, and to engage in conscious love, we begin to weave a new tapestry of connection, one that is rich with authenticity, depth, and reciprocal respect. The power to shift these dynamics, to transform the trajectory of our romantic lives, resides not in finding the right person, but in becoming the right person for ourselves, radiating a magnetic field of self-acceptance and wholeness that naturally draws in what truly aligns with our evolving spirit. For in the quiet space of self-awareness, we find not just the understanding of why we fall, but the strength to rise and to choose a love that truly reflects the light within us. The shadows may beckon, but your own inner sun is far more potent. Subscribe for more revelations from the hidden currents of the human heart. The tapestry of attraction is woven with threads far more intricate than mere superficial appeal or shared interests. Beyond the archetypal projections and shadow integrations we've explored lies a subtler yet equally potent force, the resonance of unmet developmental needs. Consider, for instance, how individuals who experienced emotional neglect in childhood might find themselves inexplicably drawn to partners who are consistently unavailable or emotionally distant. This isn't a conscious preference for pain. Rather, it's an unconscious attempt to revisit and perhaps finally resolve an early relational wound. The familiar ache of emotional absence becomes, in a deeply ingrained way, a signifier of home, a distorted echo of the emotional climate they grew up in. Consequently, a partner who offers consistent emotional presence and availability can paradoxically feel unsettling, even alien, because they don't tap into this deeply ingrained, albeit painful, recognition pattern. Furthermore, the very dynamics that felt unsafe or unpredictable in our formative years can, through a twisted form of familiarity, exert a powerful magnetic pull. We might be drawn to volatile personalities because the constant emotional flux feels more stimulating than a stable, predictable connection, a subconscious rebellion against the perceived boredom of emotional security. Building on this, however, it's crucial to understand that these attractions often serve as unconscious invitations to complete unfinished business from our developmental stages. The person who consistently belittles your accomplishments might be unconsciously mirroring a critical inner voice that you've internalized from an authority figure, perhaps a parent or teacher, who never truly validated your efforts. Your attraction to them, then, is less about their inherent qualities and more about your internal dialogue seeking external validation, even if it comes in the form of criticism. Conversely, if you've struggled with asserting your needs or setting boundaries in childhood, you might find yourself repeatedly drawn to individuals who are overly dominant or controlling. This dynamic creates a situation where your unmet need for autonomy is constantly being challenged, offering a recurring, albeit painful, opportunity to finally stand your ground and reclaim your personal power. The intensity of these attractions often stems from the sheer magnitude of the unmet need they represent. It's as if the universe is presenting you with a potent, albeit challenging opportunity to finally receive what you were denied, even if the vehicle through which it's offered is flawed. Another crucial layer to this phenomenon is the role of learned helplessness and the comfort found in familiar distress. When individuals have grown accustomed to navigating relationships where their efforts are consistently met with resistance or indifference, they can develop a subconscious belief that this is the only way relationships function. Consequently, they may actively, though unconsciously, gravitate towards partners who perpetuate this cycle. For example, someone who learned that expressing their needs led to rejection or conflict might find themselves drawn to partners who are adept at shutting down communication or deflecting emotional intimacy. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the attraction to the wrong person reinforces the belief that healthy connection is unattainable. Moreover, the very act of constantly striving for a partner's approval, of trying to win their affection or understanding, can become a substitute for genuine self-validation. The pursuit itself, the struggle, becomes the source of a peculiar, albeit fleeting sense of purpose. This is particularly true for those who experience conditional love in their upbringing, where affection was often contingent upon meeting certain expectations or achieving specific outcomes. Consequently, when faced with a partner who offers unconditional acceptance and unwavering support, it can feel disorienting, even threatening, because it doesn't align with the deeply ingrained understanding of how love is supposed to be earned. The familiar battle for validation, which once provided a perverse sense of direction, is suddenly absent, leaving a void that can be misinterpreted as a lack of genuine connection. It's akin to an athlete who has trained their entire life for a specific, grueling competition, only to find themselves presented with an effortless victory. The absence of struggle can feel hollow. This is why the allure of the wrong person often persists. They represent a familiar landscape, a known adversary, a challenge that, however painful, feels more navigable than the uncharted territory of genuine, effortless connection. The key to disentangling ourselves from these patterns lies not in eradicating the attraction, but in understanding its roots, in recognizing the unmet needs and developmental gaps that are unconsciously driving our choices, and in consciously choosing to provide ourselves with the validation and care that we once sought externally. Reflecting on this journey so far, we've navigated the labyrinthine corridors of attraction, uncovering the unseen forces that often guide our hearts towards those who, on the surface, seem destined to disrupt rather than nurture. It's as if we've been charting a complex map, each revealed layer of psychological and energetic influence, adding depth and dimension to our understanding of this persistent human conundrum. The threads we've examined, from the deep-seated echoes of our earliest experiences to the archetypal patterns that resonate within the collective unconscious, are not isolated phenomena. Instead, they converge, creating a powerful, often invisible, undercurrent that shapes our relational choices in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. Think of it like a subtle but pervasive atmospheric pressure, influencing the direction of the winds of our desires, guiding our ships toward shores that may appear inviting but hold unforeseen storms. The insights gleaned from understanding these converging currents offer not a simple diagnosis, but a profound reorientation, a recalibration of our internal compass. As we pivot towards the final reflection, consider the cumulative effect of these revelations. We've moved beyond a superficial analysis of romantic missteps to an exploration of the intricate interplay between our inner worlds and the external relationships we cultivate. The recognition of how our disowned selves, our unmet developmental needs, and the very energetic frequencies we carry can draw specific individuals into our orbit is akin to discovering a hidden dialect spoken by the soul, a language that governs our most intimate connections. This evolving awareness suggests a fundamental truth, that the patterns we observe in our relationships are not random occurrences, but rather potent reflections of our own internal landscapes, waiting for recognition and integration. The journey thus far has been about illuminating the shadows, not to dwell in them, but to understand the terrain, to map the hidden pathways that lead us towards greater awareness, and, ultimately, towards more conscious and fulfilling connections. The convergence of these ideas paints a picture not of fate, but of profound, albeit often unconscious agency. The intricate dance we've explored, this magnetic pull towards individuals who often mirror our deepest, most unacknowledged parts, is not a cruel cosmic joke, but a profound testament to the soul's inherent drive for wholeness. It is in the very individuals who challenge us most, who evoke the strongest reactions within us, that the most potent opportunities for integration lie hidden. We have seen how the echoes of our developmental past, the shadows we've meticulously cast aside, and the energetic signatures we unconsciously emit converge to orchestrate these captivating encounters. This isn't about identifying villains or victims, but about recognizing the intricate web of causality that binds us, a delicate interplay between our inner landscapes and the external relationships we manifest. The allure of the wrong person, therefore, is not a sign of inherent failing, but a silent, insistent call from the disowned self, a breadcrumb trail leading us back to the forgotten territories of our own being. The power of this understanding lies not in merely identifying the patterns, but in realizing that we are not merely subject to them. We are, in fact, the conductors of this symphony. By acknowledging the unmet needs that draw us to certain dynamics, by understanding the projections that color our perceptions, we begin to reclaim our agency. The familiar ache of emotional unavailability, the unsettling allure of volatility, these are not insurmountable barriers, but rather signposts pointing towards areas within ourselves that crave recognition and healing. It is in this conscious awareness that the true work begins, transforming the passive experience of being drawn into something destructive into an active choice to engage with what nourishes and elevates our spirit. The true practice begins now. It is in the quiet moments of introspection, the courageous conversations initiated, the boundaries consciously drawn and held with grace. It is in offering ourselves the very validation, the unwavering support, and the unconditional acceptance that we have so often sought externally. This shift is not about finding the perfect partner to complete us, but about becoming complete within ourselves, radiating a magnetic field of self-awareness and self-love that naturally draws in connections aligned with our highest good. 4. In embracing our own wholeness, in understanding the intricate dance of our own inner world, we finally learn to orchestrate a love that is not a desperate pursuit, but a conscious, resonant creation, a reflection of the light that has always resided within.